Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Scorpio. So Scorpio, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. So Scorpio, there's such an interesting image and message today for you. I feel like I've never received something like this before. Because of my own background and something particularly significant to me in my own story. Back in 2014, when I was living abroad and I was doing this exchange program for my architecture school, I was doing this project that was called Look Up, or also, actually, there were two projects that were very significant in that year. This one called Look Up, and then the other called Step Ahead. And so those ideas of, we generally don't think about, right? We just move along and we don't think about what we're doing with our lives. Those ideas just are in my mind, right? It's like they're very vividly present in my mind. And so oddly enough, for you, Scorpio, it's the opposite. It's like you're sticking to this very next step that you're giving, but you're looking down. You're facing down. You're choosing not to look ahead. You're choosing not to look up because the world around you seems to be upside down. And it's almost like it's a lot more fulfilling, and you know that. You know how much more fulfilling it is to stick to what you're doing. It's like to keep on doing what you're doing, to keep on working on what you are working. So it's almost like the universe has to be very, very, very magical and creative and spectacularly different and instigating to catch your attention, because right now your focus is only on what is right in front of you, but not straight ahead, right? It's like what is down. It's almost like I'm seeing you looking down, focused on something that is like here, right? Is very close to you. So we're beginning with the Two of Swords. What I heard with this card was, I don't want to look ahead. I don't want to look up. I'm good looking down to the very next step that I need to take, because it's almost like it requires a lot of trust. Sometimes I see, this lack of trust in taking the steps with, typically this card brings the blindfold. So it requires a lot of trust if you want to take this next step without seeing where you're going. So yes, there is this message of trusting here, but you know it. It's like you have such awareness of this that you are seeing very clearly where you are immersed in. You're seeing where you are embedded. So the World card coming next, actually it came reversed, but because, it's the same, right? It's a sphere. So independently of the angle that you choose to see it, it's interesting that I'm seeing this. It's almost like this optical illusion, right? So that's the thing. It's like you don't want to be caught by the optical illusion, perhaps this distortion of an upside down world, right? So you're choosing not to look, maybe to watch the news perhaps, or to look at this optical illusion of the world right now. It's like if you were to have this bigger perspective, that's the thing. You're reading, because of this card, it's like you're trying to focus. It's like you're zooming into something that you're working on, right? With the Eight of Pentacles coming next. This is what you're doing. It's like you have been doing this, right? To me, the Eight of Pentacles, it's not something that you just started. It's not something recent, although it might be. It just feels like something that you have been dedicated to. Putting a lot of hours into this. right? It's not something that you just stumbled upon and you started working with this. It feels like something that is older, right? It's maybe we're talking about like coping mechanisms, you know, in a world that everything is so distorted and so upside down. Focusing in your work, it's like you are guaranteeing to yourself that you're not going to be blinded. That it's almost like you are choosing that before the world can blind you. You see what I mean? So it's or distort your perspective in a way that it's almost like this optical illusion could corrupt your work in a sense, and it's like you're very dedicated to this for some reason. It's like it's very important to you because it brings fulfillment. The Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups here talks, just a second, sorry about that, Scorpio. So we're back. The Nine of Cups following this Eight of Pentacles is talking about a very fulfilling work, a very fulfilling use of your time, because this Eight of Pentacles is talking about something that you have been dedicated to, which it's very different than this. Maybe different is not the right word, but it's the only one that's coming to my mind. But it's like it's very stable. In the midst of a world that is upside down, that everywhere that you look feels like an optical illusion, then this is very straightforward. This is very assured, right? It's like it's steady. The work that you have been doing is the steadiest thing in a world that is upside down, in a world that is blinded. So you are the only one who is, it's almost like you know that you don't want to be blinded by the world around you. So because of that, you're choosing not to look to the world and to instead focus in your work, because that's what brings you real fulfillment, right? This is the path that you're choosing, Scorpio. It feels like it's like you're so aware of the things that you don't want to see. It's like that's very clear to you. You don't want to look at the world that is in front of you that is very distorted. So in order not to be caught up in that, you're choosing something that, in the other hand, it's like it's, by contrast, it's like very, very fulfilling. It's a path that you know that your heart is in it. You know that your heart is in it. And this, you know, besides this true fulfillment to the heart with the Nine of Cups, the Sun card was talking about this fulfillment that brings like a total perspective, right? Sometimes I see, well, most of the times, and recently, I have been seeing this Sun card as this 360-degree perspective. And so I feel like there's something that you're choosing not to look at because you know how distorted it is. And because of what you're choosing to focus instead, which is bringing a lot of fulfillment, you're having a much broader perspective than if you were here, than if you were to choose to look through this perspective. So it's almost like here, there are so many different angles to perhaps one truth, because here, after the Sun, we have the Ace of Swords. And the distinction between this and this is that here, it seems like there are multiple truths. Here, there is one truth. And yes, it is, you know, total in a sense that provides you this very complete perspective. So the sphere is here. The sphere is also here. But here, things are upside down. So it's almost like there are so many different truths that you don't know how to distinguish the truth. And this is also something that has been coming up in the recent readings. I can't remember which one exactly, but one of the last ones that I did. And it seems like it's here also, but in a greater scale, because you're choosing to zoom out in a sense. You're choosing to zoom out. and zoom out in a sense of the world, right? Zoom out of the world. Do not focus on the world, and instead focus on something that you're working directly with. This feels very hands-on, because at the same time that it fulfills you practically, it's like it's occupying your time, and it's making it's very bodily. So it means that you need to move your body. It's not just a mental work. You see what I mean? Because it's almost like that's the distortion. If you were to be in this perspective, it would be a very distorted mind. So it's like you're choosing to do something that is very hands-on, that is very practical, that requires a lot of your presence, that requires your body to be fully there in order to be fulfilled. But when you are fulfilled in this way, where you're zooming out of the world and you're zooming into this work of yours, it's like, yes, you find fulfillment. It's like it's this it replenishes your heart, which is also something that came up in the Libra reading yesterday. Yes, there is that in here with the Nine of Cups, but the focus is not the fulfillment of the heart. The focus is in you having a broader, maybe brighter perspective of the many truths that, you know, are out there, that are distorted, that are in this optical illusion, and then finding the truth, because that's what you were following all along. When you chose not to be blinded by the world, when you chose not to be blindfolded in a sense, it's like you realize what's beneath this fabric. It's almost like this grid of the earth here, of the world, is talking about the fabric that is just the outer layer. So it's like you know, it's coming through as like a net, right? A fisherman's net that is intended to catch fish, right? So it's like you're not being caught up by the net, by the fisherman's illusion, whatever that means, which, you know, it might be this character here that is ending your reading, because we're ending with the magician, but now this magician, actually the moment that I was talking about the fisherman, this magician came up as this fisherman. So, and it's like, it's not something that is for your detriment. I don't think so. I don't feel that it's something for a detriment, but you're learning how to distinguish something that fulfills you greatly. And in that fulfillment, you have a much brighter perspective. Maybe this is just talking about, you know, being hopeful in a world that everything is falling apart, and remaining, you know, maybe hopeful that your work is capable of bringing, you know, this new day to the world. You see what I mean? But that is because you're not accepting that you need to see the world through that fisherman's net, or through that grid that is an illusion. So you know what makes you feel good, you know what brings you happiness, but it's not about happiness. It's not about joy. It's not about fulfillment. It's almost like that's a bonus. That is it's interesting, because what I'm hearing right now, it's almost like that's a given, but the purpose is not happiness. The purpose is to broaden your perspective and to keep on following this path, following your own gut, your own intuition, instead of, you know, being blindfolded by the world at large. So it's a conscious decision of looking down, focusing on your work, and by doing so, it's like, you know, that you're doing the best thing for you, because it's like it's giving you a focus that is brighter than ever. Because the Ace of Swords, well, to me, this card gives direction, a clear direction moving forward, but it's also talking about the direction that you were already pursuing. So it's not something that, again, that's the reason why I feel like this is not something new. This work that you have been doing is not something new. Perhaps you knew what you were after, you just didn't know where to find it, because it's almost like if you were to look for this out there, it would be very distorted, right? So it's almost like you have been working on creating your own fulfillment, your own way of seeing every angle, every aspect, because you see all of these rays are giving a clear direction, right? So it's almost like you want to explore all of them, but it's like you have to, take one route and then the other and then the other and then the other. So it's almost like that's the reason why it takes a while. It takes dedication and patience to accomplish this. So the Magician here at the end is talking about your decision, your clear decision to not engage with the world at large, choosing to zoom out of the world and zoom into your work, because yes, that brings you fulfillment, but also, aside from joy and happiness and fulfillment, it brings you this possibility of exploring the truth from different perspectives, which is similar to this, but it's actually very different, because here it's like each piece is a fragment of truth. What you're seeing here while you're doing this work, instead of engaging with the news, right, is that you're seeing truth from different perspectives. You see the difference? It's not that you're seeing fragments of truth. You're seeing truth from multiple perspectives, because you have reached this this way of following your own steps, following your own it's interesting, it wants to be said like a gut instinct, but it's more subtle than that. It's not something that it's the Nine of Cups, right? So it's not there aren't any fire cards here, there aren't any wands cards, so it's not so much about the instinct in like that that instigates your movement. Although I want to say this Magician was talking about this, it's like the magic being splurged, being twinkled around you to instigate you to go to a path that you don't know where it leads. Because here, well, first of all, the Sun brings a lot of clarity. The Ace of Swords brings a lot of clarity. So you are clearer than ever about what brings you fulfillment. But it's, again, more than just fulfillment. It's almost like you know that you are exploring truth from multiple perspectives, because fulfillment is associated with it. It comes with it, but it's not the main thing, right? What this Magician is doing, it's almost like it's wanting to put a spell on you, to be honest. It's because it's like what's inside of this hat of the Magician, I often say that is the unknown. It's something that you have no clarity about. It's uncertain, is unknown, is unsure. You don't know what's inside of this hat of the Magician. Yes, it can be magical. Yes, it can be wonderful and, very creative and very expansive, because I often say that the Magician, it's almost like the mind of God, or, this power of God is like this creational force, right? That exists, right? That makes things be. But right now, it's almost like you're so happy, you're so focused in exploring truth from different angles that, it's yourself, right? It's yourself also. But you're fulfilled doing that. You're so fulfilled that the universe has to really do something spectacular to catch your attention, because right now what the universe is presenting you with is like a very small, you know, I don't even know how to express this. It's not interesting enough to you. It's not interesting enough to you. It's like, you know that there are so many things that you don't know, that you're not seeing, that you're not, that you haven't experienced. Yes, they could be wonderful and magical, as I said, but right now what the universe is giving you, it's like just such a tiny piece, right? It's like this tiny glimpse of magic that it's not instigating enough to change course. It's like you have a very particular course that you are on already, which, you know, it's not where most people are. It's like, it's almost like the world at large is caught up in this optical illusion, and you're choosing not to be blinded by the optical illusion. And because of that, it's like you have to go your own way and doing the things that you know that are going to be stable and concrete and reliable and true to what resonates with you, to what resonates with your soul, with your essence, with who you are. Because that's how you know truth from, it's like many different perspectives, and instead of seeing half truths or partial truths or fragments of truth. So I feel like there is an effort in the universe, right, to catch your attention, to try to allure you. Is that the right word? Is what I'm hearing right now. Allure you, to convince you. It has this sensation of, you know, being spellbound. So it's like but you're not being you're not being blinded. And I'm not saying that the world or the universe is wanting to blind you, but it's almost like you're so connected to this truth that you have a clear direction, that it's not going to change direction because of this. This needs to be a lot grander, a lot more impactful, a lot more magical, and give you more than just a few pieces or a few glimpses of what is being kept inside this hat. So it's almost like you're saying to the universe, Scorpio, I need to see more. If you want me to look in that direction, I need to see more. Give me more. Otherwise, I'll just keep doing this. I'll just keep on working with this because I am fulfilled. I am happy. So give me more. If you want me to look in that direction, give me more, right? So yeah, I feel like it's clear, but I am going to pull more cards for you, Scorpio. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find a link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.